Where are you? Brother, which one is my benefactor? Wang Lin silently watched the madman before him. He could clearly see in the man's eyes that there wasn't the slightest trace of memory about him. Letting out a soft sigh, Wang Lin slowly descended and stood in front of the madman. Madman. Wang Lin spoke softly. Madman. You're the madman. How dare you insult this king? Let me tell you, this king is mighty beyond measure. The youth in a flowered robe glared at Wang Lin and roared furiously. Could it be that you're my benefactor? The madman rubbed his eyes, circled Wang Lin a few times, while the young man in green, who had been supporting him, carefully stepped aside. All right then, suppose you are. Now that I've met my benefactor, tell me, who injured my little Hua's grandfather like that? Was it him? The flower-robed youth pointed angrily at the frowning national master in the distance and shouted at Wang Lin. Dao Fei, if you cause trouble again, I will lock you up once more. This is the enthronement ceremony. Luo Gong challenged your benefactor and lost. It has nothing to do with the national master. Stand down at once. From within the Hall of Immortal Paths came the immortal emperor's voice, tinged with anger. Ah! The flower-robed youth froze, momentarily lost in confusion. He blinked, then suddenly grabbed the young man in green beside him. Help me sort this out. I'm a little muddled. So little Hua's grandfather wasn't beaten by the national master? Then who did it? He challenged my benefactor? I'm confused. Analyze this for me quickly. The youth in green wore a bitter expression. He glanced at Wang Lin, then at the flower-robed youth, and whispered, Your Highness, let's leave. Ah, I just remembered, we still have a furnace of pills refining. If we return late, they'll be ruined. These are the pills you promised to give to the ocean child, heavenly venerable. Pills. Right, I'm refining pills. The flower-robed youth froze for a moment, as if just remembering. He turned to leave immediately, but after 2 steps, he stopped, spun back around, and glared at the youth in green. No, that's wrong. I clearly remember someone beat little Hua's grandfather. You. Humph. Little Red, stop pretending to be dead. Find out who hurt little Hua's grandfather, and this king shall reward you. Waving his fan furiously, the flower-robed youth shouted at Su Ligua, who was feigning death in the distance. Su Ligua's eyes flew open. He leapt to his feet, a sycophantic smile spreading across his face as he hurried over, looking every bit like a mortal constable. His gaze first flicked to the bitterly smiling elder of the Luo family, then turned toward Wang Lin. But the instant his eyes met Wang Lin's, Su Ligua's body trembled violently. The shiver came from the depths of his soul. He stared blankly at Wang Lin, dazed, as if caught in a dream, as though he had seen this man somewhere before, so achingly familiar. Ominous star. Master. Su Ligua muttered unconsciously, as though memories were stirring awake. But in that instant, the flower-robed youth seized his shoulder and shook him violently. The jolt snapped Su Ligua back to reality. His face turned pale as he staggered backward, pointing frantically at Wang Lin. It was him. Your Highness, it was him who injured little Hua's grandfather. So it was you. The flower-robed youth roared. Dropping his fan, he lunged forward and gripped Wang Lin's neck with both hands, his face twisted with malice. I'll strangle you to death. Wang Lin closed his eyes, hiding the sorrow within them. He knew. The madman retained no memory of the abode realm. Dao Fei, stand down. The immortal emperor's voice thundered from the Hall of Immortal Paths. At that moment, he stepped out of the great hall. With a wave of his right hand, the flower-robed youth strangling Wang Lin was flung back like a drifting willow leaf. The youth in green and Su Ligua hurried after him, not daring to remain. Black armor imperial guards escort him out of the imperial palace. He is not to enter again. The immortal emperor frowned and spoke coldly. You wait. You dared injure little Hua's grandfather. This king will remember this. The flower-robed youth's voice faded as he was carried away. When Wang Lin opened his eyes, the madman was already gone. Only the fading glow of the teleportation array lingered. Since Dao Fei returned, he has been like this. At times his memory is blurred, at times clear. Perhaps, when clarity comes, he will recognize you. The immortal emperor sighed. At that moment, he seemed neither a grand heavenly venerable nor the emperor of the immortal clan, but merely an elder brother. Wang Lin remained silent. He had come to this ancestral city only to see the madman. Now that he had, Even though the other had lost his memories, he felt no regret, only a quiet resolve to depart. The ritual of challenge need not continue. Wang Lin, for breaking through the 17th layer of heavenly venerable ascension. Today I, as Emperor, confer upon you the title of the 49th Transcendent Heavenly Venerable of the Immortal Clan. Since you bear the title of White-Haired, and you have obtained the white hair refined from the heavenly lion beast, I bestow upon you the name, White-Haired Transcendent Heavenly Venerable. Every Transcendent Heavenly Venerable of the Immortal Clan is granted a chance to enter the seclusion grounds of the immortal progenitor to gain enlightenment. There, one can obtain immense fortune and lay a solid foundation for one day becoming a grand heavenly venerable. Even within the seclusion grounds of the immortal progenitor, your cultivation will grow considerably. Such an opportunity is rare indeed. Even among those of the imperial bloodline, each person only receives it 3 times in their entire life. As for cultivators outside the imperial bloodline, they are only granted this chance when they step into the realm of transcendent heavenly venerable. This matter is exceedingly rare. Wang Lin, there was once a misunderstanding between you and I. I wish for that to be dissolved here. In the seclusion grounds of the immortal progenitor, comprehend well, so that you may soon become the 6th son of the immortal clan. May you become a pillar of our people and restore the might of the immortal progenitor. The immortal emperor's expression was sincere as he gazed at Wang Lin, his eyes drifting toward the distant teleportation array. I have only this one younger brother. The immortal emperor sighed softly. Go to the seclusion grounds. I will send Dao Fei there as well. Perhaps you might help him remember the past. When I first found him, there was a woman at his side. That woman has now also awakened and is currently comprehending in the seclusion grounds. The immortal emperor's voice grew gentle as he looked toward Wang Lin. Many thanks, Your Majesty. I came only for the enthronement ceremony. Now that it has ended, it is time for me to depart. If I return to the ancestral city in the future, I will then enter the seclusion grounds. Wang Lin cupped his fists toward the immortal emperor, declining the reward. The immortal emperor fell silent, nodded, and no longer pressed the matter. The enthronement ceremony concluded under the blazing noontime sun. As the cultivators dispersed respectfully from the plaza before the Hall of Immortal Paths, Wang Lin too departed the imperial palace. He declined the immortal emperor's offer to reside within the palace, leaving alone through the teleportation array. He did not stay at Li Manor either. Instead, he brought Sea Dragon and Lu Jinbiao back to their room in the Eastern District. I have seen him. Even if he has lost his memories, so long as he seems happy now, that is enough. Standing by the window, Wang Lin gazed at the darkening sky. He had stood there the entire afternoon. It is time to leave. I'll take Su Ligua and depart from this ancestral city of the immortal clan. Head toward the Gu clan. Wang Lin sighed lightly. Weariness clung to his voice. He had experienced much within the immortal clan, gained his current status and cultivation, yet compared to the loss of his friend's memories, all of it felt insignificant. Perhaps I misunderstood the immortal emperor. In silence, Wang Lin recalled the enthronement ceremony. In truth, his resistance toward the emperor had no real cause, only instinct. But no matter what, I cannot go to the seclusion grounds. Whether there is misunderstanding or not, caution and vigilance cannot be overturned by a few words. As he pondered, the sky outside grew darker. Snowflakes drifted down, glowing like feathers beneath the lamplight of the eaves, then vanishing into the shadows beyond. The snow came silently, thickening as evening deepened. Suddenly, a soft knock sounded on the door of Wang Lin's room. The rhythm was gentle, unhurried. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable. Wang Lin turned as the door opened slightly. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable stood smiling there, her long hair loose, still dusted with unmelted snow, lending her beauty and otherworldly charm. You've come to the ancestral city, but not visited the Dishan Empire. Right now, Dishan has no red leaves, but it does have snow. By order of my master, I invite you to Dishan. If Heavenly Venerable Judy invites, how could I refuse? Wang Lin smiled faintly. In the wind and snow, the moon was hidden. The streets grew emptier as the storm thickened. Wang Lin and Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable walked side by side, leaving behind 4 deep tracks that were soon covered by falling snow. Other than certain places, teleportation within the ancestral city is restricted. Not far ahead is one of the Dishan Empire's teleportation arrays. Soon we'll arrive. From the look of you earlier, you seemed ready to leave. When will you go? Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable asked softly. After I descend from Dishan, I will leave. Wang Lin stepped on the snow, each footfall crunching steadily. His voice was calm. The street around them lay in silence. Only the sound of snow remained. Even the wind seemed gone. The long street stretched ahead, houses on either side shrouded in darkness, not a single light burning. A faint chill lingered, a sense of hidden menace. Even the falling snow carried a hint of killing intent. Wang Lin suddenly halted, cold light flashing in his eyes. A powerful sense of danger surged over him. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable also stiffened, her gaze sharp as she lifted her head to scan the surroundings. There's a fluctuation of ceiling restriction. No one knows I came to find you. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable explained at once. Wang Lin remained silent, but the chill in his distant gaze deepened. The wind and snow grew fiercer. Almost at the very instant Wang Lin and Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable halted their steps, at the end of the long street before them, the countless snowflakes drifting like goose feathers suddenly accelerated. In that moment, precisely 9,999 flakes were drawn together by some unseen force, merging into a vast square pattern. The moment it appeared, its speed surged, rushing straight toward the two of them. Along the way, more snowflakes were drawn in, swelling its size until, in a blink, it spanned nearly 100 zhang, roaring toward them with a shrieking gale. At the same time, at the far end of the street behind them, another formation took shape amid the eerie howls of the wind, a triangle pattern, brimming with boundless murderous intent. It absorbed snow as it hurtled forward with terrifying speed. All of it happened in the blink of an eye. You behind, I'll take the front. The crisis struck Wang Lin's heart like lightning. He did not doubt Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable. Though the scheme seemed tied to her, he trusted his own instincts more. With those words, Wang Lin's figure shot forward like an arrow, racing toward the square pattern. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable's face darkened, her stunning features now twisted with fury. What enraged her most was that someone had used her invitation to lure Wang Lin to the Dishan Empire as a chance to set a deadly trap. If their enemy succeeded, the uproar would shake the entire immortal clan, and her master would inevitably be dragged into it. She knew this was no time for explanations. Words were powerless compared to action. Hearing Wang Lin's words of clear trust softened her heart, but her beautiful face carried a murderous resolve toward the one who had orchestrated this ambush. Without hesitation, she spun around, placing her back to Wang Lin, and transformed into a streak of rainbow light that shot straight toward the incoming triangle pattern. Wang Lin's 3 strides brought him face to face with the massive square pattern. Just as it was about to engulf him, the Tianyo soul spread from his face across his body. At the heart of this killing formation, Wang Lin unleashed his might without hesitation. With a single punch, 98 phantoms erupted around him, an astonishing sight on the snowy street. The instant they appeared, all 98 raised their fists in unison. When fused with Wang Lin's true body, it became as if 99 divine abilities had merged into one. That punch carried within it 23 divine abilities. Normally, channeling 99 through 23 would scatter the force, preventing it from reaching its peak. But as his fist roared forward, Wang Lin's strike paused 3 times. The first pause, his 5 elements avatar overlapped with his body, instantly raising the divine abilities to 46. The second pause, his fist surged to 69. And at the very instant it collided with the square pattern, Wang Lin's strike paused a 3rd time. The divine abilities within it exploded to 92, the strongest power he could unleash without calling forth his void avatar. With the soul armor's support, 90 divine abilities drove all 99 in perfect harmony, and his fist crashed into the square pattern. The explosion shook heaven and earth. The skies changed color, snow and wind reversed, and within 100 zhang around Wang Lin, every flake of snow shattered, scattering as though swallowed into a black void. The square pattern trembled violently, then burst apart, collapsing under Wang Lin's fist. Yet, even in its destruction, a strange power lingered. The instant it touched Wang Lin's fist, it drilled into his body. His advancing steps faltered. Inside him, that power wove itself into a dense net, latching onto his meridians and flesh, sealing his body in a binding sealing restriction. The strange force was unfathomable, yet Wang Lin faintly sensed it belonged to the realm of nothingness. Because it had existed, only its absence could be called void. He had only ever seen this force before, on State Preceptor Shang Xiandao. As the binding took hold, and Wang Lin staggered for an instant, 3 figures emerged from the wind and snow before him. Cloaked in drifting white, their faces hidden, they looked almost illusory. The moment they appeared, each raised his right hand in a mudra, condensing the storm into 3 colossal palms that came crashing toward Wang Lin. At the same time, 3 more figures appeared on his left and 3 on his right. Those on the left pointed with their right thumbs, those on the right with their left little fingers, striking toward Wang Lin in unison. Behind Wang Lin, 3 more illusory figures made of wind and snow materialized. They raised their left hands, forming seals, and, opposite to the 3 in front of Wang Lin, their left palms transformed into massive hands, all striking together. As if that weren't enough, above Wang Lin, 3 more figures appeared. These wind and snow illusions didn't use palms or fingers. Instead, they each wielded a silver sword in their right hand, charging straight at Wang Lin's crown of the head with a piercing howl. Front, back, left, and right. A total of 15 figures appeared simultaneously, all revealing killing intent and striking to kill Wang Lin. Each of these 15 figures possessed the cultivation level of a heavenly venerable. In this moment of encirclement, they seized the instant when Wang Lin was momentarily sealed and imprisoned. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and in this dire moment he growled low. Without hesitation, he immediately unleashed the full power of his soul armor, while Tao ancient power surged within him, making his body as tough and indestructible as possible. His right foot slammed into the ground. With a thunderous crash, the earth shook. Wang Lin's body erupted with an indescribable speed, taking one step of force, not forward, but backward, slamming into the 3 figures behind him, their left palms already in motion. Bang, bang, bang. The 3 wind and snow figures behind Wang Lin spat blood in unison as their powers were rebounded by Wang Lin's powerful physical body. The wind and snow swirling around their bodies exploded, revealing their faces. They were 3 elderly men, their appearances completely unfamiliar to Wang Lin. The 3 of them were shocked and retreated, and as they did, Wang Lin also stepped back, passing through them in one stride. He raised both hands and, without mercy, grabbed one of their heads. A murderous intent flared in his eyes as he squeezed fiercely. With a thunderous roar, blood and flesh exploded. After killing the 2 men, Wang Lin absorbed their soul origins, and with a sudden pull, he sucked both into his body. The last remaining figure was once again struck by Wang Lin during his rapid retreat, shaking violently as his body turned to blood and flesh and scattered, dying instantly. 3 out of the 15 had died in an instant, but the remaining 12 showed no hesitation. They charged directly at Wang Lin with incredible speed. The 3 in front, after biting their tongues and spitting blood, performed a blood escape, dramatically increasing their speed, closing in within half a foot of Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his right hand, swiping toward the 3, meeting their 3 palm strikes with a single arm. All 4 figures shook violently. The 3 figures' bodies, now revealed, were enveloped in wind and snow. Simultaneously, 6 of the remaining figures on Wang Lin's left and right each extended a finger and pressed down on Wang Lin's sides. As those 6 fingers landed, Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale. The binding force within him increased dramatically, weakening his cultivation. At the same time, the 3 figures above him launched their 3 swords simultaneously. Wang Lin growled and raised his left hand, throwing a punch at the 3. 2 swords were sent flying with a spray of blood, their bodies and swords shattering. But one sword still screamed through the air, piercing Wang Lin's crown of the head. Pain spread through Wang Lin's body. Blood dripped from the center of his brow, falling into his eyes, turning the world before him into a blood-red haze. Yet within his eyes, despite the blood covering them, there was an eerie calm that others could not see. Without the slightest hesitation, Wang Lin growled and took a giant step forward, dragging the 12 remaining figures with him as he rushed toward the end of the long street. The wind and snow grew fiercer. At that moment, a tremendous rumble erupted from beneath Wang Lin's feet as 3 shadowy figures suddenly surged out of the ground. These figures were pitch black, seeming out of place with the snowstorm. After appearing, they formed seals with their hands and simultaneously pressed them against their bodies. The sound of booming echoed, and these figures, like soul origins, immediately charged at Wang Lin's body. Ahead of them, 9 more wind and snow figures materialized on the long street. Their eyes flashed, and without a second thought, they charged at Wang Lin. The 9 figures simultaneously formed seals with their hands, merging in a special manner. As they came, an ice dragon materialized above them. The dragon was vicious, roaring toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin! A desperate voice echoed from behind. It was the ocean child Heavenly Venerable, trapped by the 9 figures. With her cultivation, she couldn't hold on for much longer. Yet these 9 figures showed no killing intent. They simply surrounded her, preventing her from escaping. Is this all you've got? Wang Lin's eyes, still hidden beneath blood, remained eerily calm. A flash of murderous intent surged through him as his foot halted, just as the ice dragon's roar drew near. In that instant, a massive heavenly ox manifested beside Wang Lin. Its sudden appearance was so dramatic, its roar deafening. When it fully solidified, it was as if the heavenly ox had truly revived. You all will die, Wang Lin shouted, his head tilting upward. The heavenly ox's body shook violently as it charged straight into the ice dragon's head, causing a thunderous roar. The ice dragon shrieked, its body disintegrating at an incredible speed, shattering into pieces. 9 figures emerged from the shattered remains of the collapsing ice dragon, their faces filled with horror. They coughed up large amounts of blood, their complexions turning pale as they were sent tumbling backward. But the slaughter had not yet ended. The wind and snow grew even fiercer. From a distance, this scene resembled a painting. If it were to be captured, it could be passed down through the ages. In that painted scene, a massive golden bull stood firm on the ground. 12 cultivators surrounded its body, 6 of whom, standing on either side, had their 6 fingers pressed against the golden bull. But they were violently shaken, blood spurted from their mouths, and their arms and fingers, along with their bodies, disintegrated into a bloody mess. The 3 who were pressing their right palms against the bull's head exploded into a mist of blood, rapidly retreating. As for the 3 in the air, who had stabbed a sword into the bull's head, they were knocked back as the sword shattered, causing them to spew blood and fall back. The most tragic scene involved 3 dark figures that lunged at the bull. Perhaps they intended to possess it, but in that very instant the golden bull opened its enormous mouth, pulling them in with an overwhelming force before they could enter, swallowing them whole. As the golden bull roared, Wang Lin, his hands forming seals, pointed forward. Immediately, the golden bull, which had materialized from his body, charged ahead with a thunderous crash, colliding with the 9 figures who had been thrown back by the ice dragon. Their horrified screams echoed as the golden bull continued without pause, charging all the way to the end of the long street, where it exploded. The force of the explosion was enough to shake the heavens and earth, even enough to collapse the eastern district. Yet, amidst the collapse, only endless snowstorms were stirred, and the surrounding buildings stood still, untouched. Wang Lin's pupils constricted, and without a moment's hesitation, he moved forward, appearing instantly before the 3 survivors who had avoided the heavenly bull's charge. With killing intent, he became a mist and enveloped the 3, absorbing their flesh and blood, and devouring their primordial spirits. The mist dispersed as it turned toward the others, continuing its consumption. The 6 figures on the left and right, whose fingers and arms had been torn off as they retreated, saw the black mist approaching. It split into 2 parts and swallowed them whole. At the same time, a bone blade appeared within the mist. In a flash, it slashed toward the 3 figures in the sky, injuring them severely and forcing their bodies to shatter into 6 pieces, while their primordial spirits were absorbed into the mist below. The wind and snow howled down the long street, mixed with the sound of agonizing screams. Wang Lin's black mist swept through the area, heading straight for the 9 figures surrounding the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable. The 9 cultivators, having witnessed the terrifying scenes earlier, abandoned their attempt to encircle the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable and began to flee. But their speed was fragile in the face of Wang Lin's mist. In an instant, the mist overtook them, enveloping them. When the mist cleared, only 9 withered skeletons remained. The surroundings were silent. Amidst the skeletal remains, the black mist surrounding Wang Lin solidified beside the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable. As his figure materialized, his face was ashen, and he immediately coughed up blood. His blood fell onto the snow below, a chilling sight. "Let's go." Wang Lin stepped forward, heading toward the end of the long street. The Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable bit her lip and followed closely behind. With her cultivation, she was finding it difficult to fully engage in this level of slaughter. Over 30 cultivators had participated in this massacre, each one a Heavenly Venerable. But the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable had many friends, most of whom were Heavenly Venerables, and she recognized most of them. Yet, these 30 or so cultivators were completely unfamiliar to her. "They aren't true Heavenly Venerables," Wang Lin said. "They were forcibly raised to the Heavenly Venerable level. They won't survive much longer." He was certain of this because he had absorbed their primordial spirits. Initially, he intended to refine them into divine veins, but their primordial spirits were disordered and impure. It would take some time to refine them, and even then, they could only form one divine vein at best. Through his absorption, Wang Lin was able to determine that these cultivators would only survive for another hour. They had exchanged their very lives for an hour of power. Wang Lin currently had 5 divine veins, which allowed him to summon up to 98 shadow clones at maximum speed. If he could add one more, his combat power would greatly increase. This massacre has the mark of the National Master. The 4-sided pattern that appeared earlier contains a force I haven't fully resolved yet. I can only delay it for now. If I can't break the seal, it will hinder my combat abilities. Wang Lin sped forward, getting closer to the end of the long street amidst the howling wind and snow. The primordial spirits he had absorbed had been quickly scanned for memories, but they were all blurred, their minds having been erased long ago. "This place is sealed. Just now, I tried to shatter the restriction with the collapsing force of the Heavenly Ox's illusory form, but I couldn't move it in the slightest. Whoever set this trap had already anticipated outside rescue when twisting the heavens and earth here. If that's the case, then waiting for the Heavenly Venerable Judy's rescue is pointless. Were I the one who set this scheme, I would have made 2 preparations. First, sealing all traces of aura within, and second, sending someone to restrain the Heavenly Venerable Judy. Of course, that's assuming this trap wasn't laid by him. But my instincts tell me it wasn't Judy. The one who wove this web may be right here, waiting to deliver the final killing strike against me. As Wang Lin advanced, his mind raced. He pulled the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable with him, rushing toward the far end of the long street. Just then, 3 figures suddenly materialized out of the swirling snow ahead. They floated in midair, eyes fixed on Wang Lin, and in the blink of an eye shot forward like 3 streaks of rainbow light. Before they even drew close, waves of cultivation power erupted from them, almost at the level of a transcendent Heavenly Venerable. And behind them, 2 black-clad figures stepped out of the storm. Their cultivation was unmistakably that of transcendent Heavenly Venerables. Cold and expressionless, they raised their right hands, and the blizzard roared. From within it surged 2 massive black pythons, hissing as they rose into the heavens, coiling in the sky. Soul Armor Envoys. Wang Lin instantly recognized them. These 2 are strangers. Among the transcendent Heavenly Venerables, I studied the Violet Sun sect's records. Of the remaining 48, none bore soul armor. These 2, they must have been forcefully elevated to this level through some special method, and then bestowed with soul armor. In this ancestral city, the only one capable of such a thing is the Immortal Emperor. Cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He halted, raising his left hand to push the Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable aside. "Heizi, fall back. They won't harm you. Do not intervene in this battle." Wang Lin. She looked stricken, desperate to speak, but before she could, his sweeping gesture flung her back dozens of zhang. Helpless, she watched as Wang Lin charged forward like a moth diving into flame, straight toward the 5 enemies. The 5, 3 in white, 2 in black, rushed at him like 5 arcs of rainbow light. The long street lay littered with corpses, the snowstorm growing heavier, its howling winds thick with killing intent. 6 figures launched into the second round of this blood-soaked slaughter. Kill! Wang Lin's eyes blazed crimson. With a low growl, he darted forward, his bone-een blade materializing in his right hand, cleaving toward the 6 figures. There was no flourish in this slaughter. The 3 white-robed men barely used any divine arts, relying on only 2 techniques. The first, condensing the power of wind and snow into a storm that swept the heavens, transforming into a colossal vortex crashing toward Wang Lin. The second, self-detonation. The thunderous blast shook heaven and earth in an instant. Wang Lin's blade split the storm apart, but then the 3 white-robed men detonated themselves. Wang Lin raised his hand sharply, unleashing 99 soul subjugation seals, 92 of them genuine. They surged forward like mountains and seas, colliding against the explosive force. The deafening shockwaves still could not shatter the restriction over this place. As Wang Lin burst through, the 2 black-clad men with their serpents descended. In the blink of an eye, the 3 clashed violently on the long street. The clash reverberated. One black-clad man spewed blood and exploded entirely, while the other had a crimson line carved across his brow, his body cleaved clean in 2. Wang Lin staggered forward another 10 zhang, stumbling as he drove his bone-een blade into the ground to steady himself. A mouthful of blood spattered onto the snow, hissing into white vapor. At that instant, as his blade held him upright, a hand suddenly appeared from the storm at his back. Silent and formless, it manifested from nothingness itself, striking straight at the back of Wang Lin's head. That finger carried an indescribable strangeness, something that should not exist, yet now emerged like a grand heavenly venerable's creation from nothingness, eerie and unpredictable. As the finger neared 7 inches from his skull, Wang Lin did not turn. Instead, he lunged forward, twisting his body, sweeping the bone-een blade across in a desperate arc. Blade and finger collided. A cracking sound rang out. The bone-een blade splintered with countless fractures before shattering apart. The fragments scattered, reflecting Wang Lin's calm face. He had expected this. He was ready. At the moment the blade crumbled, dazzling golden light burst from his eyes. That golden radiance came from his strongest void avatar. He had held it back from the start, waiting for this finger to appear. And the owner of that finger, it was the one who had set the square pattern, the one who sealed away Wang Lin's power. With the golden light's eruption, the restriction within Wang Lin's body instantly shattered like paper. His full cultivation surged back in an instant. At the same time, the shards of the bone blade caught the golden glow, scattering into the air, and together they wove a formation. Wang Lin had perfected the mastery of source restrictions. To him, formations were something he could set up with a flick of his hand. Using shards of the bone blade to create a formation, he refracted the golden light shining from his void avatar's eyes. As the small formation took shape, Wang Lin raised his left hand, pointing forward. His finger met the golden ray and collided with the phantom finger that had appeared out of nowhere. All of his power surged into that strike. At the same time, the fragments of the bone-een blade refracted the golden light from his eyes, allowing his void avatar's power to be unleashed to its fullest within the blade-formed formation. With all of this combined, Wang Lin aimed to obliterate the owner of that mysterious finger. Killing intent filled him. This was his nature. If someone sought his life, he would always respond in kind. On the snow-swept street, the phantom finger collided with Wang Lin's slaughter-filled strike. At that instant, the Tao ancient power born from his ancient ancestor's soul blood roared out, clashing first with the enemy's finger. A thunderous boom erupted. Within Wang Lin, the 99 split shadows of his 5 divine bloodlines merged into one. With the added might of the Tianyo soul armor, this became a second wave of power, crashing straight toward the opponent's finger. The earth-shaking rumble rolled through the quiet snowy night like raging thunder, startling all nearby. Even Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable, who was about to intervene, trembled in shock and could not move forward. The enemy's finger faltered. Blood veins appeared across its surface, as if it could not withstand Wang Lin's counterattack. But it did not end there. Wang Lin's 5 elements avatar, his thunder avatar, and the 3 whirlpools of void origin behind him fused together, flowing into his fingertip to unleash a 3rd wave of force. Within it lay the Tao he had comprehended through his life. The deafening roar spread as blood trickled from Wang Lin's fingertip. He did not retreat. Instead, with a growl, he pushed forward. The final, 4th wave erupted from his void avatar's power. Golden light burst from his eyes, flowing into his fingertip. The surrounding shards of the bone blade refracted that golden radiance, making his entire finger turn completely golden. A golden finger. At this peak of battle strength, the phantom finger could not withstand the clash. It shattered with a resounding boom. But in the instant of its collapse, a calm voice reverberated through the heavens and earth. Because there was loss, when it condenses once more, it is called existence. As the words echoed, the shattered finger reformed at a speed visible to the eye, completely restored. It pressed against Wang Lin's finger once again. Because there was existence, when it disappears, it is called emptiness. At the moment of this second clash, the Tao ancient power within Wang Lin's finger suddenly dispersed into nothingness. His divine bloodline's powers, the Tianyo soul armor, everything vanished as if blown away by the wind, turned into void. Even his 5 elements avatar and thunder avatar dissipated under this strange force. Only the 3 whirlpools of void origin remained, the truest source of all his power, embodying his comprehension of Tao, life and death, karmic bonds, truth and illusion. No force could erase them, nor could it extinguish the golden light of his void avatar. The rumble shook the street. Blood spilled from Wang Lin's lips as he was blasted backward. With a wave of his right hand, the bone blade shards that formed the array shot forward in golden streaks, aiming for the finger that had just shattered yet was beginning to reform a 3rd time. The crash thundered through the long street, halting even the snowfall. The reformed finger was immediately torn apart by the howling shards. Yet, shockingly, it began to condense for a 4th time. Wang Lin retreated at immense speed, nearing the end of the street. This was the edge of the sealed space. If he broke through, he could escape this deadly trap. But just as he approached the end, both sides of the street rippled with void fluctuations. Nearly 100 blurred figures emerged from the wind and snow. Their eyes were cold and merciless. The moment they appeared, each drew a bow. As 100 bowstrings were pulled taut, the storm of snow split into 100 streams, forming 100 arrows of ice and wind. At that same moment, all 100 figures spat blood onto their arrows. Their bodies withered instantly, as if their life force and very essence had been drained by that single breath. Death warriors. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. This time, everyone who appeared in the long street killing formation, except for that finger, were all death warriors. They had completely sacrificed their lives to form this terrifying situation. Wang Lin had encountered such a scenario a few times in his life, but none could compare to this one. In the past, those who sought to kill Wang Lin still cared about their own lives. But now, he faced warriors who cared nothing for death. In the blink of an eye, the bodies of the 100 warriors disappeared without a trace, leaving no bones behind, all turning to ashes. But before they died, the bowstrings had already been drawn. As they vanished, 100 buzzing sounds echoed through the air. As the buzzing sounds swirled, 100 blood-colored wind and snow arrows shot towards Wang Lin from all directions. These 100 arrows transformed into 100 straight rainbows, their speed so fast that they almost reached him in an instant, offering no chance to dodge. Wang Lin roared to the heavens. His hands formed a seal, and he pushed outward with force. Immediately, his white hair flew wildly, his clothes billowed, and his eyes shone with golden light. Behind him, a golden sun materialized in the midst of the snowstorm. The moment this sun appeared, the long street vanished, and the entire world became a vast, dark ocean. From the ocean's end, the morning sun rose, emitting a force that dispelled the darkness. Remnant night. At the moment this technique was invoked, The 100 blood-colored arrows seemed to merge with the darkness, swept away by the force that tore through the black night, emitting continuous booming sounds. Amidst the thunderous noise, Wang Lin's voice echoed. I believe that all darkness will be destroyed before the light. I believe that all existence will dissolve under the morning sun. I believe that all void and nothingness will never be reborn. As Wang Lin spoke, the golden sun behind him erupted with even more intense light. The 100 arrows shattered, and even the third finger that had formed earlier emitted a magnetic sound and spewed out vast amounts of black energy under the sunlight. Wang Lin roared to the heavens and swung his hands outward with great force. The sun formed from the remnant night technique immediately charged forward, sweeping away the darkness. When it encountered the finger that had appeared in the void, it shattered in an instant. As the rumbling continued, the surrounding light dissipated, and everything returned to normal. The long street was still there, with the snowstorm raging. But Wang Lin's clothes had 7 rips, and 7 fragments of arrows had pierced through him, not destroyed by the remnant night, but breaking through the morning sun, penetrating his body. Wang Lin's mouth bled, and he staggered back a few steps. His right fist clenched tightly, and with a mighty punch, he struck the edge of the long street, where the space was sealed. As soon as his fist landed, the void of the long street twisted. Within the twisted space, a circular shield appeared, like an inverted bowl, covering the long street. Using the momentary distortion, Wang Lin immediately saw countless black-robed cultivators sitting cross-legged outside the long street, forming layers upon layers. These black-robed cultivators seemed to be bound by some force, and it was they who had formed the seal of this place under their power. You can't escape. A calm voice echoed along the long street. With the voice's appearance, the collapsed finger manifested once again. To kill you, we have mobilized the strongest force of our sect. As the voice reverberated, the distorted waves on the long street faded away. As they dissipated, everything Wang Lin saw outside blurred, eventually becoming nothingness, ceasing to exist. However, in the instant the external scene disappeared, Wang Lin saw hundreds of cultivators among the tens of thousands raise their heads abruptly. After swallowing a pill, their bodies exploded, and their primordial spirits turned into wisps of smoke, rushing toward the sealed long street. At the same time, hundreds of blurry wind and snow figures appeared within the long street. After their appearance, they erupted with the cultivation of heavenly venerables, disregarding life and death, and charged towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, but filled with a chilling presence. He turned to face the hundreds of incoming figures. His gaze pierced through them, landing on the finger that had once again manifested. The finger hovered in midair, motionless. If you won't let me leave, then today, I won't be leaving either. The best way to break this killing formation is to kill all of you, and the formation will naturally fall apart, Wang Lin said, his white hair extending unnaturally long. At the roots, a hint of blackness spread, as if his hair was beginning to turn black. His eyes, calm yet merciless, reflected a cold indifference toward all living beings in the world. At that moment, Wang Lin was as cold as unmelted snow. I never wished for slaughter to descend, but now, you shall bear the weight of my slaughtering self. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and when they snapped open again, it was as if a war immortal had descended upon the world. In that instant, the slaughter thunder origin within him seized control for the very first time, becoming the master of his body. And for the first time as well, upon this slaughter lightning true body, Wang Lin released the restraints on the origin sources, unleashing both the primordial origin and the thunder-driven forces of slaughter and silent annihilation. They erupted forth in a terrifying storm.